Everyone, it is September 9th. How are you? Friday, September 9th of what? September. September 9th of September. So, what am I doing here? I'm turning my phone off. First of all, there are good quilty things going on this weekend, specifically in Wisconsin. So it is let me start with this. Okay, my head's not getting wrapped. Alex, wrap your head. Wrap your head, wrap your head. Someone say hi, okay? I see there's a bunch of you on there. I got chat going on? Because I'm not seeing it. Oh, wait, there we go. Let me see. There we go. There we go. You'd think after 2.5 years, somebody might know how to do this. Anyways, I got a blast from the past, and it was from Doreen Speckman's, the late Doreen Speckman's daughter, Megan. Doreen, gosh, she's probably been gone, oh my gosh, excuse me, 20 years maybe. She was a hoot. Everybody loved Doreen Speckman. If you've ever heard the phrase Peaky and Spike, that's from Doreen. And basically, that's the isosceles triangle in a square shape that we do like our Christmas trees out of and stuff. Well, anyways, Doreen was on a dance floor in Ireland. I don't think it was Scotland. I think it was Ireland on one of her famous cruises, and she died right there. And so died on the dance floor, I suppose, if you have to go, you know. But anyways, Megan was her pride and joy. And Megan got hold of me out of the blue yesterday, and at the Wisconsin Quilt Show, they're doing a retrospect of Doreen's work. And so she was just so funny, you guys. She was so funny. And as a traveling teacher, she did something kind of interesting. She really hardly ever finished her quilts because she could pack more in her suitcase if they were just quilt tops. And it was like, well, that's kind of halfway brilliant. So you can see that here are some of her quilts. And again, they're on display at this quilt show. And I checked this out. I snapped this out so that you can see where it is. It's at Madison, Thursday through Saturday, and Megan may be around there. Boy, if I were in Wisconsin, I'd be jamming down there so fast it'd make your head spin. So also, I have another pal there, Richard, the bald guy in a kilt, and he has a booth there. He works, well, there she went. He works with people in South Africa, fair trade, and our guest brought just these absolute Catherine Redford gorgeous threads, absolutely gorgeous threads that I can't even believe I was unaware of. I mean, I couldn't even believe it. So I instantly got hold of Richard, bald guy in a kilt, and I learned about his company. So when I'm done today, I'm going to do an interview with him because I just think you all need to be aware of these beautiful threads. Here is his the name of his booth, Global Artisans, and you will find both of them in there. Ms. Redford and Mr. Richard, the bald guy in the kilt. So I'm looking forward to doing that interview also after today's showing. Okay, so you have been sending me pictures. Now, oh, this is like from a fashion institute, and Pat sent it to me. Look, in New York. Okay, I'll give you a second. Threads. Isn't that just amazing? What a beautiful composition made of spools of threads. So speaking of threads, we all love them. And wouldn't that be fun to do in your house? I mean, I suppose you'd have to, cha-ching over some money, but what the heck, Um, I also want to say too that my heart is out for the people of England. You know, I think about it, and Queen Elizabeth, she was queen before I was born. And so that's all we really know. And the thing I keep hearing is it's the end of an era. And I would agree. I mean, I look at the landmines she had to, maneuver in her life personally, and yet she just really was top shelf in my book, top shelf. So my condolences to England. All right. Then we have here, oh, the threads. Okay. That was kind of a weird thing to throw in there in the middle of it. I meant to say it in the beginning, but I've always loved the royal family. Just a buff on it. Okay. So Cindy Needham, here she goes down another rabbit hole. And this is, how she loves her antique linens. Well, now she's getting into wool work. Can't imagine that rabbit hole. Look at this, what she's doing on top. You can see the feathered wreath that she quilted underneath the birds. And I think she did the wool work before she did the quilting. Yes, she did. And she said she kind of went around the wool shapes to tack them down. But then you can see, some of her signature moves. Also, bottom right-hand corner, you can see the cutouts of these linens. And she also basically stitched in the ditch there also. Okay. Then Barbara sent me this picture, and this was for her grandson. Okay, oh gosh, my brain's doing a freeze, but I think they're 9 inches finished. So see how this is? And actually, next time, I'm going to show you how to crissy-cross like that, okay? So let me show you. On Wednesday, because John, thank you for the wishes I'm seeing for John. He's got his surgery. It is at a surgery center. We'll be home by Monday afternoon. And I think he's going to be a doped up person. So on Wednesday, I'm hoping to cover two things. First, how do you cut these sticks short if you want to do that? Okay, that's what I'm going to do. Time willing, I will do this also. If not, I'll do it on Friday. This is a little trickier. How do you get the crisscross to match up properly? So I've come up with a way that I'm pretty proud of myself. And you can see that's going on back here with this particular quilt. Okay, so Lilo, our organizer, I something crossed my plate, and it was actually Jamie Fingel's studio. And it was like, Lilo, we need to do something on weird, not weird, unusual spaces and how people have solved. I'll tell a quick story that I've told before, but just in case you're new, excuse me, I am just a hot mess here this morning. Um, when I took a Nancy Crow class 40 years ago, I was bemoaning my studio space. And she said, in my brain, no, wait, I'm going backwards. I got to dial in here, man. I got to dial in. Um, I looked at her and I said, how do I get people to take me seriously as a quilter? And she said, well, where do you quilt? And I said, well, in the guest room. And she basically said, look, if you want people to take you seriously as a quilter, you have to take yourself seriously as a quilter. I mean, how often do you really use your living room? And it was like, and so I came home and told John that. And the next day, the guest bedroom was converted 100% into my studio. So there are places you can maybe think about putting your studio if you don't have one yet. But in the meantime, let's take a look at the record. I thought she had some great information. Here we go. Lilo Bowman.
All right.
Hey, Lilo.
Hi there. How you doing?
Pretty good. Lilo Bowman. We just saw each other. We just taped a bunch of shows. Congratulations. You did a great job bringing in all those international people and all that good stuff.
It was a great time. We really, really had a great time in the studio.
So, as you know, Lilo Bowman, she wrote the book Love Your Creative Space. You can see that behind her. By the way, if you sign up for a year, I believe you get a digital download of that on thequiltshow.com. I think
That's a
so.
nice mark. That's a really nice perk.
Yeah. So we were talking, excuse me, before we went to taping, and basically Jamie Fingel caught my eye, and we'll get to her. But she lives in the Los Angeles area and has really no space in her house or whatever for a studio. So we started talking about we need, everybody has a glorious room like I have. In fact, few people do.
Or maybe they don't even have room where they are at all. Doesn't matter whether it's glorious or not. They just, you know, maybe they're in an apartment, maybe it's they've got lots of people in the house, and so trying to find a space that where you're going to actually be able to work without it being, let me work on the kitchen table, and then oh, I got to move it all away when the meal comes, and that gets really frustrating for everybody.
Well, Nancy Crow said to me way back in the olden days, I was in a workshop of hers, I mean, 40 years ago. And I said, how do I get people to take me seriously as a quilter? And she looked at me, she goes, where do you quilt? And I said, well, in the guest bedroom, I climb over bed, blah, blah, blah. And she said, if you want people to take you seriously about quilting, you need to take yourself seriously and you need to claim a space. And basically, that's what we're talking about.
Absolutely. Even if it's a tiny, tiny place, this is your space. You can leave stuff the way that you want. When you walk away, there isn't that whole shuffling and moving every time something else in the house is happening. So, one of the places that we found that was really interesting, I found Feely Hempfling, and her hashtag is London and Granger, and she lives in the Pacific Northwest. And they bought an older house. Was built in the 50s, and unfortunately, the only room in the house or space in the house was the laundry room. Which, oh, by the way, she had to leave the house, walk outside, go in another door to be able to come into the space where there was laundry taking place.
So let's take
So
a look.
can
Yeah, let me show you.
you?
That's it, folks.
So this is what the room looked like when they first moved in. And you see she's got, like most people, they've got the big washer and dryer because she's got kids. And so she thought outside the box. Here is a space that maybe I could use. And her father-in-law is really handy. So they sat down and kind of configured out, how can we turn this, what was just a laundry room, into a place where I could actually work and have some fun and do some sewing and that kind of thing. And it wasn't an easy job because she discovered in a 1950s house, paper bags and boxes were used as insulation around the walls. So there was some things that had to be done before all the pretty cosmetic stuff went in, like the flooring had to be redone in the wall. They've also added a door so she can go from the house into the room rather than having to go outside and around like she was before. But she has an adorable little space. It's 5 feet by 7 feet, but it's also the family laundry room. As you can see, there's a washer and dryer, and on top of that, they built a table. So that is her cutting table. In front of I'm not sure if it's the dryer or the washer, I can't tell. But one of the units, that is her pressing area, and it is actually on a rolling cart. So guess what? When she has to do laundry,
What?
that cart can roll out of the way, and she can get to the laundry, and then she just rolls it back when she's not doing laundry.
I love
And
that.
on the other side of the wall, what you just showed a second ago, go back to that one, is where she has her sewing machine. And this is again something that I thought was really clever. She has her machine elevated up to the height of the table, but that's actually a little folding table. It's actually something that hooks to the wall, and when she needs to sew, she can drop it down. There's another
What?
area on the side. Yeah, I mean, that is just super cool. Shelving above so she can hold all her stacks of fabrics. She's got everything she can think of hanging on the wall so she can get to it really easily. It's not down on the floor because there's not enough floor space. It's only 5 by 7.
Okay, so back up here. So are you
Yep.
saying that sewing table is kind of like an old-fashioned ironing board that comes down?
Almost like that. That you have those two units. Actually, the one on the left. The one on the left, not the
Okay,
one on the
okay.
right. The one on the left literally flips up against the wall. So again, she said that when she needs to get to the machine, she can flip that up, get things out, and put them back in the machine.
Oh,
And when she's not using it, she's got that. So really utilizing that super tight space. There is a little window on one side, so she's got a little natural light coming in.
You
But
see
other than
that?
that,
No. Let me
you
see.
can't see the window. When you look at the very first, see on the left-hand side, you can just make it out
Okay, gotcha.
on the map. There's a little window,
Okay,
but
gotcha.
she's got all kinds of bins that she's found that are interesting in shape and color, and she's got her fabric stacked in there.
I love
Um,
that circle thing, whatever it is. I
she
love
actually
that.
got that at Target. She said she found that, and she thought, and she loved the design, and then collects her fabrics in it. Now, obviously, here's the caveat: you cannot have the world's greatest fabric stash if you have a space this size. So she tends to work in small projects and make something, and then buys a little bit more fabric. So she's not bringing in fabric week after week because
You
there's no
know,
place.
I kind of think those days are over because of the price of fabric. People are more project oriented rather
Yeah.
than, oh, you got to come home with me and I don't know what I'm going to do, but you're just going to nestle in my stash.
Yeah, and she's a busy mom with two little kids, but she makes some amazing little things. She does all kinds of quilts. Her husband gets in on the quilting action. So I think she's somebody that a lot of people would enjoy following just because she has this really great aesthetic. And then look what she did in in what was a laundry room. I just think that's amazing.
Okay, let's talk
Um,
about Carol Morrissey.
Okay, so Carol Morrissey is another person. Now, she does have a nice big studio in her house, but when she wants to paint and dye her fabric and get really messy, she doesn't want to do that upstairs on the carpeted floor. So, this was formerly a potting shed, and this has now been turned into her wet studio. And oh, by the way, those are bowling balls that
Oh
she put in
no.
the car, which are adorable. They look like, some kind of marbles or something floating around in the yard. So that's the entrance to the potting shed from her back garden.
But let's look out of the potting shed now.
Let's look out. Yeah. So there's the door that you just went through. And so you've got some lighting above coming through the windows that are up on the ceiling. And this is a place where you can get really messy. That carpet on the floor. Now, one of them is an oriental, but I think it's a fake one. It's not an expensive one. But the other one is actually a drop cloth that she bought, laid down on the floor, and she threw all kinds of paint all over it and swirled it. So it's a carpet, but if you get paint on it, becomes part of the look of the floor cloth, which I thought was super cute. And you've got a couple of different workstations. So if you swing over to the other image,
Is that it?
here's the
Yeah.
side. And here she's gone super budget, nothing super expensive, because it's really more about being able to work and get wet and have all kinds of things stored in there. Those are actually just curtains from the local Walmart. She didn't even sew them. They're just hung up with clip rings on a tension rod, so that she can then slide them back. Those are all of her patterns that she sells, any of her other professional stuff she has there. But they're not even sewn. They're just literally clipped up there.
You know,
But,
and so
go ahead.
I redid my room here. That's basically I did a spring rod system to cover things up. I
Right,
mean,
because she didn't want to look at all that. And instead of just buying plain curtains, Carol loves color. So, why not go with orange curtains and
right,
turquoise?
right.
Yeah, yeah. So and it's 10 feet from the house. So that was utilizing something that was already there. And she didn't really have to do a great deal to it, as far as fixing it up.
Where does she live?
She lives outside of the Dallas area, Dallas,
Okay,
Texas area. She lives
okay.
in a small community. Yeah.
Okay, now not a lot of us have this next one, but oh my gosh. Okay,
All
four
right. So
car garage. Four car
so
garage.
Four-car garage. Okay, so Lois Podolny used to rent a space at a little studio in town. She lives in the Santa Fe area, and she found that going back and forth took too much time to plan. I have to go there, wait, then I got to come back and I got to fix lunch. And so she has a four-car garage, and it's two of her. It's she and her husband. And so she decided, you know what? I'm going to save money. We're going to use the center two bays of the four-car garage, and so that's her little green car, and then that's the little entrance that they made.
Whoa,
They
wait a
added a
minute.
window.
Whoa, wait a minute. So you got, I- she's
It's
got,
a four-bay
so
garage.
these are the two she made out of?
Yes, the two center ones. So she has the outer left one, and then her husband has the outer far end, and they put up a wall on either side, and she has the double bay as her quilting
But
studio.
I want to point out the, the artwork in there in the garage. That's fabulous.
I asked her about that. She has always put artwork in the garage because she said, you go in there all the time, and I love having art about, and so it's another place to hang art. I thought that was really, really
Yeah, but
fun.
then you got to clean your garage. Ay, ay, ay. Okay, look at this.
Well, that's okay. So now this is a nice big space, and that is the garage floor you're looking at. So she's not done anything with that.
Okay, hold
Now
on,
they do
Lilo.
live in the
Hold on
same.
a second. What is that step up thing, do you think? In a garage, like what the couch is on?
It's a little step up, and I don't know why you would put that in a garage, but that's the way the
Huh.
garage was designed.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, that's the garage floor. Um, and so even though they're in Santa Fe and the weather's pretty temperate most of the time, it can get pretty cold in the wintertime, or it could also get hot in the summertime. And so there's no heating in your garage typically. So above the window is a what they call a ductless air conditioner, which and heater, so that it can provide her air conditioning in the summer and then obviously heat in the wintertime as well. And she has the couch there because her two dogs come and hang out with her, and that's the dog couch. That was a priority. She needed a dog couch. The other priority was she has a beast of a long arm, and there wasn't room in the house.
Okay, I am in trouble here. Trying to figure out. Oh, there we go. There we go. There we go. Sorry. Okay, let's go to the next one. There we go. Oh, I love this.
Okay. So so imagine you're standing at the long arm. That's the view you have, and that is the wall that has been built. And it's also, besides being a huge and fantastic design wall, those boards slide, and behind them is her storage of her yardage of fabric. So it is as tall as the garage, and it's as wide as a double wide. And it holds extra sewing machine, like one you take to a retreat. It has her die cutter. It has her flat folds, and those design walls slide back and forth, similar to what we've seen at Jean Wells's. I think that may have been where she got the idea.
Uh-huh.
And so the idea with this whole setup is that, let's say that she and her husband decide to downsize or move somewhere else. This isn't all so permanent that someone couldn't take it down and then return it back to being a 4-car garage.
And
But it provides her a really big space for her nice size long arm. She has 2 sewing machines in there, and then she also has her cutting table, which is on wheels, and it stores all of her fat quarters on both sides. So she's got really nice big space to maneuver around. Yeah.
okay, now we come to Jamie Fingel. And that's
And then
what started this whole thing. Okay, so let's talk. She's in the LA area.
Right. And Jamie has been in this studio, which is also something a studio space she rented for 10 years. And she's now decided she wants to downsize. She's been in, again, it's not glamorous. It's a place that you're renting, concrete floors, maybe not great, lighting and great aesthetics, but it's a place where she could go and play and be messy and play with fabric and do all kinds of things because she didn't have room in her house, right, Alex?
She's in a little, I think, post World War II house.
Okay, well, as much she does so many different things. She
Right.
paints, she works in fabric. I think she probably just wouldn't have had room to do all of the things that she wanted in her house. So this is a different option for somebody who wants and needs a space that's not going to be, available in your house or in your backyard, or you can't build it in your backyard
Well,
because you need
when
space
I
for it.
saw this, I mean, Carol Lanois has a sexy studio with a brick wall where people can come in and take classes and all that. This is literally where you probably, it's a warehouse thing. I mean, just a
Right, and
warehouse.
this is where you can get messy, and things don't have to be pretty, and the public isn't coming in and visiting, and so it really depends on what it is that you need and what it is that you want. And Jamie obviously likes doing a whole range of different things, and looks like she works on one area for a little bit, and then she gets an idea. Maybe she's waiting for something to dry, paint to dry, so then she moves over to another area and works on something else. It's not having people coming in and touring, so it is a
Right.
working studio.
Right. And here's another one. She has a really good Instagram too, where she puts great stuff up on it. Here, do you
And
have
she
that
has
written down?
aesthetic. I mean, she has. Oh yes, I do. So this is Jamie's. Is just Jamie Fingel.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
uh, she's been posting for years about pictures from her studio, and she has a great whimsy about her. I mean, she has an old soda machine that she had in the studio. She had that fabulous polka dotted
I
couch.
know. We want the couch.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, Carol's studio in Denver was a little bit more sexy, but in that building, they had, I believe, once a month, they would have open studio tours. So you would have the public coming in, and you would need to have some place that looked a little bit neater when guests were coming in, so that she could sell work and talk to them about the kind of work that she was doing. It was still a professional working studio because she is also still working and selling her work. Yeah. So Carol Ann Waugh.
Yeah, and
Now,
I don't have images here for that. Sorry,
oh,
my
okay.
bad.
So her studio was also concrete floor, brick walls, a huge amount of light, and storage and materials for working were not fancy. They are workhorse kinds of things, industrial kind of storage racks for your fabric and your paints and things. So it's different than what you oftentimes see in social media, where everything is beautifully laid out. It's color coordinated. Everything looks fantastic. This is a working studio where people either choose not to, or they don't have space in their own house
And
to be.
I think you've just gone on something kind of important. When I built this, I thought I'll have people in here to have classes, and then I realized I don't want that. So that's a whole nother thing that you have to
Right,
consider when you're
right.
doing this. So there was one other one that, do you know what a toy mover is, Lilo?
No, are they like little mini RVs? Like you need
That
to
you
move
put,
furniture?
you'd put your, like your bikes in there, and your
Oh,
four
that kind of
wheelers,
toy, like big adult toys.
adult
Oh, okay,
toys.
like
Hmm.
motorcycles,
Hmm.
four
Chris,
wheelers, or
Chris
something. Okay.
Spray is on some property over the Altamont here, and that's what she put her Longarm in. And it was fabulous because she has enough property to do it. So I think the upshot is you have to look at what you have, but also claim your space. Ellen Gambereth has a closet. She loves her closet. It's her little safe place. It doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be glamorous, but you need to claim your space. I think that's the bottom line, right?
Right, because it's hard to work when you have to stop and start and stop and then collect something. That's very frustrating. So if you've
Yeah.
got even just a closet where you can have your project out and you're able to work on it when you have time, then you can get right to it. That really makes a huge difference. Absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
so as we wrap this up, I want to talk about this again, everybody. Lilo and her entire family is doing something absolutely remarkable. Tell us what it is, say in 4 sentences.
Oh my goodness. Okay. In about 2 weeks, we will be having a family of three. It's a young mother, her 6-year-old son, and her mother coming to live with us, who are coming from Ukraine. And they are refugees and will be living with us up to 2 years. That's what we've committed to. And so we are getting everything ready for them to come. Lots of paperwork, lots of logistics, and trying to get the house in order. So that's
Here's the deal, guys. Before Lilo and I got on today, we started talking about it. And right now I'm just thinking, I think we need to do another one of these
yeah,
video things because I think people should understand the process, if
yeah,
they're eligible and this and that. But in the meantime, these people are coming with nothing, nothing. And so David and Lilo, they have set up this
GoFundMe.
GoFundMe for her, and people are giving very generously. Can you imagine going somewhere and having nothing and
You
starting?
have a yeah, basically, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
So
it should be really fun. Probably a little bit of stress involved, but we just felt that was something that we wanted to do.
perfect.
Before I forget, Houston is able to see me lecture in a guild. You can catch me in an actual lecture at Houston. So I will be in class number or lecture number 455. on adapting for change, and in lecture number 599 in Love Your Creative Space. So today they opened up the uh, registration, so go sign up. And I'd like to see your happy faces in the audience, because usually I'm just looking at a blue dot on my computer.
I know. Hey, so on adapting, does that have to do like with as we get older, things to think about and how to change things?
Yes, yes.
Right.
So, and like Jamie is figuring out that it's just not feasible to continue going back and forth to a studio. Let's just move the studio into your house,
Right.
kind of as she was
Right.
doing. Yeah.
Right.
And like you did in your studio as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you so
All
much.
right.
And holding such good thoughts as soon as you want to talk about this whole thing, because I think this is a super valuable subject matter of what you and David and your mom and your dad and your sisters. It's a family affair. I think it's beautiful.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. All right.
Okay.
Have a great rest of your week.
You too. Bye.
Okay. Bye.
So you want to know a secret? That was taped 2 weeks ago, and the family is coming tomorrow morning. They're picking him up at the airport. Listen, when we got off of recording this for you, and it went a little long, and that's fine. I love looking at people's studios. It's like driving around in San Francisco at night, and you could see windows during the holidays. I remember it's like it's voyeurism, but it's fun and it's got great ideas. But in the meantime, we started talking after, and they just don't pair you willy nilly. This is a whole thing where people are vetted on both sides, et cetera. Credentials are checked, and all of that. And I said to Lilo, I'd like your opinion. I said, it's not quilting related, but I think an interview about what they had to do to get this done would be extraordinary. And I think a lot of people would be very, very interested. So if I'm barking up the wrong tree, let me know. But, it's so funny. I think of, the bald guy in the kilt, Richard, and I think about the Ukrainian family coming over. Richard's working with the people from South Africa. We are such a global community these days because of the internet and the way we're able to reach out and touch each other and help each other is honestly astounding, just absolutely astounding. And people will say to me, well, what do you think one of the biggest things in quilting is as far as change goes? First thing would have been the rotary cutter. Absolutely. Then I think it would go to machine quilting, the long arm. And now I believe it would be the internet, the way we're getting connected. So, yeah, I think it sounds really interesting. So, okay, she actually wants David on it too. And I said, listen, I don't want to get it like, well, then you have to write this letter and that letter. But how are they maneuvering it? Okay. I will give you one little hint. Here's Lilo's property. Here's Melinda's property. Mother. Wait. Lilo, mom, and dad. They butt up to each other. And grandma is going to go live with Lilo's parents, and the mother and son they're going to live with Lilo and David. 2 years, guys. 2 years. So, um, oh, thank you. Thank you, Hillary. She knows that. I mean, she's running around putting Post-it notes on furniture so they don't. Lilo, thank you for everything you bring to the table. Thank you. And don't forget, you can sign up for her lectures in Houston. So, okay, Monday we will not be here, as I said, because of John. I will be here Wednesday, and we will do either one thing or two things, but we'll get back to these sticks over here, all right? And I'm going to be doing some more interviews with other people. Priscilla from Guatemala, the internet, right? So, okay, what happens after 2 years, Elizabeth? I don't know. But hopefully, the idea is to get them solid footing. And they are not, Lilo's in the Fort Worth, Dallas area, and the other people are doing this too. It's to get them set up so they can live in the United States of America. Right? Okay. All right. Well, John says thank you, and I will see you Wednesday with an update, and it's all going to be okay. Thank you. Bye bye.